So when we left off, we had done the lower view here, side view. We, of course, had not dimensioned it or put in these revolved sections, so we will do that today. But before we do that, we are going to start off with the top view. So we need to get the top view done, and that's what it looks like right there. That's our model. So move that out of the way. Let's get on it. Starting off with our construction line. Kind of in the middle here. Whoops. There it is. How about we make one that's not at a crazy angle there? There we go. And we'll start offsetting. The object is symmetrical, so you kind of have a decision to make to what degree you are going to duplicate your work, or are you just going to mirror it? So we'll deal with that issue as we move along here, but let's start off with the intention of doing both sides, okay? So the whole thing is 3 inches wide. That's 1.5 inches on either direction. So that's my first offset, 1.5 up and 1.5 down. And that is the width of the cylinder in the center, the pivot. The next value is the width of the arm on the left, and that width is 2 inches. So the offset would be 1 inch in either direction. The next width is the arm on the right, and that one is 1.25 inches in 1.25 inches in total width. So half of that would be 5/8, and that is 0.625 as a decimal. So I'm going to offset 0.625 in both directions. There we go. So now we got the main body of this project mapped out here. We could do quite a bit right now if we wanted. So let's give that a shot. We'll start doing some basic work here just to get this thing to take shape. The cylinder in the center, of course, is a simple rectangle. And you could do the same with the fork on the end. That's basically a simple rectangle. And then the other side. I feel like I missed one there. I always got to remember to turn off that nearest snap. That darn nearest snap will get you every time. All right. So that's the basic shape of this guy. If I want, I could put this center line in here. That might make things more clear. I don't know. Change that to a center line. Okay. How about we work on this end over here on the left? So that is a 2-inch circle. And that's pretty simple. You just start at the center and go to the edge there. Voila. And the hole that goes through the middle of that spherical shape is a 750 diameter. All right. So that end's looking pretty good. If we wanted, we could start trimming this out. We could do the fillets. Depends if you want to what degree you want to attack that. Now, let's put the center in place and then we'll do that. So to get this center rib in place, we're going to have to offset the center, the thickness of that rib, which is 0.25, and that would be 1/8 of an inch in either direction. So let's do that. enter 0.125. There you go, in both directions. And now I'm going to turn those guys into object lines real quick. There you go. All right. So let's do it. Let's wrap up the left side. I'm going to zoom in on it. And turn off my construction lines. Okay. So we'll start over on the far left and work our way to the right. So looking at this circle, what do we got to do here? Trim away some stuff, of course. Trim these guys out. And we'll just delete those. And then this one here, I'll trim away for right now. We can put some more lines in there in a minute. And then these guys I'm just going to delete. All right. So I got a lot of fillets to do over here. I'm going to have to add some sacrificial lines. You know how that goes. The other thing I'm going to have to do is extend the rib on the underside. So this hidden line here represents what that rib looks like on the underside as it comes up here. It goes past where the one on top intersects the circle. So this one on the underside extends a bit, and it extends to right there. Remember that distance from its end to the edge of the hole is 0.12, and that was dimensioned on your drawing. So that's what that distance ought to be right there. If I dimensioned that, it should show up as 0.12. Yeah, there it is. So that's where that distance came from. Let's do some fillets. Before we do that, though, let's put some sacrificial lines in here. I'm going to put a lot of these little ends in. There we go. So hitting the end points and bringing those up, because there's going to be quite a few. So hitting the fillet button here, and it's R, enter and type in 0.12, and then you can start going to town. There you go. So that takes care of that. And then we'll do the circle. The circle one does not need the little sacrificial lines to make that happen. But if I hadn't put those in place, it would have wiped out this rectangle. Just to show you what that would do, like if I do it on this side, see what it does? It gets rid of that whole rectangle. So that's why putting the sacrificial lines in makes a big difference. Okay, so this side's looking pretty good. Well, I guess I got to trim that piece out as well. Get rid of that. Let's do the hidden lines here. I'm going to turn my construction lines back on. I can see what's going on here. And I will go to my hidden layer. Let's do the hidden lines for the hole going through the main pivot. Excellent. And then we'll do the hidden lines for this thing. So they come off from this line, extend to there, and then again from there, and then up. And I'm going to zoom in on that so you can see what I'm doing real close here. I'm going to trim this little bit off here and then fillet that. So trimming first, getting rid of this little portion, and then I will fillet these corners. There you go. Awesome. So aside from the center lines and dimensions, which we'll do at the end there, this side is all looking really good. Moving into the middle, This rib in the center here goes all the way up to the top of the middle, almost to the very top. And you can see where it makes contact by coming down to this view and clicking on the endpoint of its line. So if I zoom in real tight here, the endpoint of this tangent line, I'm going to click on it, is right here. It basically lines up with the edge of that hole. And just so you know, since we're here, the endpoint of the other line goes almost to center. So that, look at how close that is. It is essentially going to the center of the hole. So the tangent line on the right basically goes to center. The tangent line on the left basically goes to the edge of the hole. Okay, so why does that matter? Let me zoom out a little. Because we have to extend this line to that point. So this one is going to go pretty much to the edge of the hole, which is right there. Right, there's the hole's lines. It's their construction lines coming up. And the one on this side pretty much goes all the way to the center. So that's where how that would work out. Now the thing is, and this is a center line, and I could make that a center line if that helps. The thing is, it doesn't just stop abruptly like this. It stops with a fillet, or it's not a true fillet. It's really a runout because it's a rounded edge and it blends in, and they call that a runout. And basically the way to create that is to copy the adjacent fillet here. So I'm just going to CO, enter, and copy this guy and bring him out. Grab his endpoint, bring him out here to where the line should stop, right there. All right. And then I'm going to trim off this little end piece here, or just stretch it back, either way. But that is a little big, so it's not quite as much of a curve. So what we would do then is grab its endpoint and then drag it back to the middle of that arc. And I'm going to zoom in real tight so that you can see what I'm talking about here. So clicking on this guy, getting his endpoint, and dragging him back to something like this, just kind of dulling them out. And you may find that having the nearest snap-on in this situation helps, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the nearest snap-on and put them right there, and that helps quite a bit. So it's almost the same arc, it's just not all the way. So I'll do that one more time on the other side. I could just mirror this. That's what I would normally do, but for demonstration purposes, I'm going to show you this one more time. So I'm going to copy the other one, move it from there to there, and grab this endpoint and drag it out to there. And then I'm going to click on the arc, and with my nearest snap-on, I'm going to grab its endpoint and just drag it back to about 2/3 of the way. And that's what we're after. So it's not quite as big of an arc. It's roughly 1/2 to 2/3. You know, this is just aesthetics. It's not a measured thing, but that's the deal. Yeah, and since we're here, we could do the other side. So might as well give that a shot. And what you may find is maybe this is a good time to mirror. So you can just see these two little guys right here. You could mirror one of those, and that way you don't have to redo it. It's your call if you want to redo it or not. If you do, and I am gonna redo it because it's good for you to see it again. So I'm making a sacrificial line here, and I'm going to fillet that. There it is. And then I'm going to get rid of the remaining piece. And like I said, I'm going to move this guy to the actual center line because that's where it goes. So M, enter, and bring him right up to there. and then reduce him, clicking on his edge, bring him back to about the 2/3 point. Perfect. And then extend this line to the end here. And the same with the other side. You do the exact same thing, or mirror. This time I'm going to do the mirroring. So MI, click this, enter, and then just mirror it about this line. Perfect. And drag this one out. Alrighty. Looking good. We do need to put the hole in here in the top view, and since we're right on center, let's do that. That's where it would go, and that hole would go to there. Okay, 250 diameter hole. I do need to trim these little bits out on this side. Get rid of this stuff. All right, and I'm going to zoom out. Excellent. So I need to put the fillets in over here. Let's do that, and let's make the sacrificial lines first. So sacrificial line from here to here, and again from there to there, and again from here to here, and there to there. Get the fillet. Fillet command, come on, fillet command. Here we go. Maybe I didn't put that line there. Lots of fillets. All right, trim this piece out. And then extend these guys back to there. All right. I believe that's it. Let me zoom out and compare that against my standard. I think the center part is done. Looking good. Okay. Moving on to the yoke on the right side. Okay. So we are given that the overall width is 1.5 inches. So we need to offset the center line half of that distance. So O, enter, 0.75, enter. And there it is. And I will turn that into a construction line. Okay. And then we already have all the vertical lines in place, so we're in pretty good shape to create this object here. So there we go. So that is the portion of the cylinder sticking out, and I'm just going to do the one side on this, okay, and mirror it. So I'm just going to do the top portion for this demonstration. And then I need to offset the thickness of the yoke on that side, which is 0.383. So O, enter, 0.383. And there it is. All right. Okay, so I will make this line go through there and then down to here and then to center. Perfect. And then of course this line here also to center. Looking good. I can trim some of this stuff out. Let's do that. Get rid of these guys. Oops, wrong one. This guy. And this guy and that guy. It's looking pretty good. Looking about right. Okay. Do my hidden lines and some fillets. Do the hidden lines right now. So that's for the hole going through. Let's knock out these fillets. So this corner here and this corner here, that's going to require a little sacrificial line. So we'll do that in a minute. And this one here, and yeah, that's definitely going to require one too. So let's zoom in on this. We got some sacrificial lines to make. So I want to put a fillet here and a fillet here and a fillet here. This one's pretty obvious. That one I'll just do this. And this one I will go from there to there. And there to there. There to there. Sorry, I might have got that wrong. There to there. All right, so let's see if that works. Fillet from here to here. Perfect. Fillet from here to here. Nice. Fillet from here to here. Fillet from here to here. Got him. Got him. And then we'll trim out this bit right there. And yeah. Okay. This one doesn't go to quite the center. This is one of those run out ones. So I'm going to grab the end of it, just like we did before, and pull it back. There it is. It doesn't go quite to center because it's just a run out. I'm going to zoom out now and compare that to my standard here. See what I'm missing. Looking pretty good. Looks like I got to trim this piece off. There you go. Okay, I think we got it. All right, and now for the mirroring. So MI enter, just grab all this stuff, mirror it about the center line. Okay, and then maybe trim this one out here. Let's turn off construction lines. There we go. Clean this up. Just delete this stuff. It's interesting. That didn't, this guy did not mirror, so I'll do that. MI enter, pick this guy again, right here. Okay, and then trim that off. Perfect. Okay. So that mirroring function definitely coming in handy. Real handy. Zoom out just a smidge here. And let's take a real close look at the dimensions. I believe our drawing is done. So what do we got to do? What do you got to do to make your drawing look like this with these dimensions? They're all pretty straightforward. They're all quite straightforward. This one at the top is not on the original drawing and is not required. It's just for reference, and that's why there are parentheses around it. So remember, when you are doing that, when you are doing a for reference dimension, you got to say that it's for reference with the parentheses. So before you would place it, before I would place it right now, I'm going to say M, enter, and put a parenthesis in front of it, and then arrow to the other side, and put a parenthesis on the back side of it, and then say, yeah, check, I'm done, okay? And then remember to pull those extension lines away. So you got to grab onto that guy and pull that away using the nearest snap, and make sure that they're not, they're not touching, okay? So you want it to be at your level of zoom, you want to see a gap between the extension line and the object. So depending on your level of zoom, you're going to have to pull it away further. These circular faces on the end of the yoke, they are very short cylinders, so they would be dimensioned in this view right here. And you got to do the whole enter thing and put in the symbol, the diameter symbol there, and then place that. Okay. Be wary of this. Look at this. This one's a little off too. I'm going to click on that and bring them back. Again, a good example of pulling away the extension lines so that they're not in contact with the actual object. So initially you would do that, you would touch the actual object line, but then you're going to grab on the extension line and pull that away so that it's not touching it. And again, having the nearest snap on is perfect for doing that. The nearest snap really shines in that situation. Okay, and you can finish the rest of these. They're all pretty straightforward. Dimensions for this guy. Again, very straightforward. There's only one that I really need to talk about. So the width of these section views is going to be dimensioned in place here. And we'll do that in a minute after we make the section views. This arc right here, this is the one that really I wanted to talk about. This is the only dimension on this thing that's of any chance of it that's any challenge to you. And the reason it is because I want you to mark the center. So putting this 1 inch dimension, there's nothing to that. That one, you just go to your radius dimension and click on it, and there it is. But you can see, and I'm going to zoom in on it, that I have marked its center, and that is critical. So they gave us this dimension, this 0.62 dimension, came from the very top. You can see that guy actually connects to the top there, but then I pulled it off, that extension line, I pulled it off so it wasn't touching. And then remember we created a construction line, I'll turn them back on, and we offset that construction line down 0.62, and we made this arc on that line. Remember we just kind of clicked on it randomly, and we made a 1 inch radius circle, right? And then we moved it, enter, we moved it by this point here, and then we moved it to that distance there. That construction line was offset 0.12, and that's how we created that circle. So what matters though when you're showing this thing to somebody is we need to say, hey, that is the center. We need to, because if this center mark wasn't there, it's not clear that this arc is related to this dimension, right? So you see the 0.62 and you look at this and you're like, I wonder where, where is the center of this radius? Where does this come from? I know its edge is here, but its center could be anywhere. Well, it's on this line, and we need to indicate that by making that little center mark. And then anybody looking at this would go, oh yes, those line up perfectly. You know, that's what it is. So how do you do that? Well, you know that one edge is here. It's the offset that we did, this 0.62 offset. But the vertical mark is not so easy because you don't know where that is unless you click on the circle. So you need to click on the arc, and then you can see its center point. There it is. It's highlighting right now. You can see its grip. And so at this point, check this out. If I go to my line command and I just sweep across with my mouse, the arc itself, again, I'm going to go to my line command, and if I just watch this happen, as soon as I sweep across the arc, I'm not pressing any button on my mouse. I'm just moving my mouse across it. You can barely see the center light up. And there it is. And now I can click on it and make a little line come up, and then click on that line and drag part of it down like this. And now I have my vertical line. And of course, the horizontal line is just going to be, you know, anything, something like that. So that's how you make that center mark, by sweeping across the arc and getting its center to light up. And that is the case with any arc. So if you have a circle like this, watch, and I sweep across it when I'm in my line mode, oh my gosh, there it is. It wasn't coming up. Hopefully you can see that the center lights up. And if I hit escape, it goes away. Get back in my line mode and move the mouse across the circle. There it is. As soon as it touches the circle, the center lights up, and then you can easily click on it and do whatever you want, you know. And that is the case with a circle or any portion of a circle, which of course is an arc. So that is how you create that center mark, and definitely an important part of this project. Okay. The revolve sections, let's do these. So super simple here. Go to my construction layer and make a vertical construction line anywhere you want within the arms. I'm shooting for the middle here. So I'm going to line it up with the ones I already did, which were basically in the middle here, okay? So just kind of roughly in the center. All right. So I have a vertical construction line on both sides, roughly in the middle. And now I'm going to offset the thickness of the rib part, right? So the rib was on both of them is the same, which is 0.25, right? So half of that is 0.125. So we'll do that. So O, enter, 0.125, enter. And I'm going to do that on both sides. Boom, boom. So 1/8 of an inch on both sides. 0.125 offset. There it is. Perfect. Then I have the overall width. The overall width on this side was 2 inches. So its offset is going to be 1 on both sides. And the overall width on the other one was 1 1/4. So its offset is going to be 0.625 on both sides. 0.625 on both sides. There it is. Okay. And then the thickness of the webbing, well, that's obvious. These object lines here are giving us the thickness of the webbing, so we don't need to offset anything for that. So in my object mode here, I'm going to make 1/4 of this. Check this out. I'm going to click on the center up here, right where it intersects the construction line, the object line coming down. I'm going to click on there and then move straight over. I'm going to get that perpendicular snap, so it's straight over. And if you want to bring it off, that's fine, and then trim it, or you can see the perpendicular snap light up. And then I'm going down to the webbing here, and then I'm going to go over to this construction line, and then to the center. And I'm going to change that color just so you can really see what I've done, just so it's very obvious. It's such a short little move here. I'm gonna change it to something that really stands out. How about Phantom? There we go. So you can see that red line that I just made, and that's it. So that's all you got to do. And then I'm going to mirror it all around. So check this out. Before I do that though, I'm gonna make fillets out of it. So I'm gonna go to my fillet command, and it's still the 0.12 fillet, and I'm just gonna hit all these corners. Okay, and now I'm ready to mirror it. So MI enter and select all of it. And I'm going to mirror it about the vertical axis. And then I'm going to select it again and mirror it about the horizontal axis. Boom. Now, there is one thing I got to do with this horizontal piece. I got to make it go down to the bottom here. So let's do that. I'm going to zoom in on this so you can see what I'm talking about, because this actually has to contact the bottom edge because this piece was not symmetrical on both sides. So I just need to stretch this down. Super simple. I'm going to use the move command, M, enter, select those little bits, and grab it by the absolute center point here, not end point. That's actually a midpoint. And you might need to zoom in real tight on that. Check this out. I'm going to zoom in really tight on this. You can see that there's actually a tiny little line segment here. So when I move these, be sure you're grabbing it from the right spot here. Okay, so zooming out, M, enter, get that little bit in there. And bring it down, and then just stretch these endpoints on down here. If that was too cumbersome for you, you could just draw the bottom on your own and not mirror it, you know, your call. You are going to need to trim out these pieces in the middle. We'll do that in a moment. Let's do the other side though. So doing this side, same concept. I'm gonna do it in my with this red line and do the exact same thing. Let me zoom in a little bit here, get that in frame, and you're going to start at the top, and you can go either direction. I'm going to go this way, and then down, and then over, and down. So that's it. Just that quarter of the, it's basically a plus sign, you know, this section view on this is basically a plus sign. So get the fillet command, get those guys. There it is. And then here we go with the mirroring. MI, enter, select this stuff, mirror it about the vertical line, select it again, mirror it about the horizontal line, done. And this one is symmetrical, so I won't have to stretch the bottom out because on the right side of this object, both sides are the same. All right, so zooming out a little bit, I'm going to turn off center lines, turn off construction lines, and trim away what's in the middle here. So TR, enter, get rid of this stuff, get rid of this stuff. And that right there is the true section view. I'm going to put some hatch in there. But before that, I'm going to turn this back to object lines because they are supposed to be object lines. All right. And then go to my hatch layer, section layer, and fill that in. You you may find that you get, look at this, I'm getting some errors here, and you know, it really sucks when that happens. So I'm kind of glad that it happened right now, because it's showing that there is material spilling out. You know, this happens from time to time. It's like it can't find the boundary, um, and that kind of that's really unfortunate. Let me turn this thing back to when I had that on the phantom line layer, and I'm going to turn off my object lines. I am curious to see. Look at that. It's all right. So it was able to find it then. And you may have to do something like that. Um, you may have to do something like that. So I basically had to turn off my object lines, and with just this outline around it, was able to put in the hatch. Um, you know, that's weird. It's weird that it did that, and I'm not sure what to make of that, to be honest. I'm going to put my object lines back on. Uh, but that is the fix. So just basically turn off your object layer, and those lines that you had around that, just do them on a different layer so that it can find the outline. Um, and then when you're done, change it back for the color. So you can click on that, and you can move the layer or not. To be honest, I don't. Honestly, the color is not significant to me. So if you have to have these in red, that's fine. If you can't get it back to the other layer, but I could pick this right now and move that stuff to my object layer, and that would take care of that problem pretty easily. Okay, so the color is not significant. The dimensioning of these guys is done in place. So just like you see above here, um, you know, these would be pretty obvious. You would just click there and drag that down. And the width of the webbing is probably what is the most weird thing about doing this in place, because normally we would not be happy with having having dimension lines and extension lines on the drawing. You know, this is generally speaking not cool, right? We don't like arrowheads and extension lines on the, I'm sorry, on the object lines like this. But because we're treating it like it's a section view, it's okay. If it really bothered you, you could do a, you could break it out. And did I not offset this one correctly? That wouldn't surprise me. I'm having one of those days. So anyway, you could break it out, and this is what I'm talking about. You could go to your object layer and do some breakout lines here. Um, and we did this before on that spoke that we did on that one. And I don't know how you felt about that. I'm going to just demonstrate this for you right now so you can give me your opinion on it. And get rid of this piece here. So this is what it would look like if you broke it out. Having trouble grabbing that last little piece, but you get the idea. So you can compare the two side by side right now. Having the revolution in place with the dimensions in place, or having the revolution broken out. So actually this one on the left is a revolved section broken out, and the one on the right is a revolved section superimposed. So it is superimposed on the actual drawing, and the one on the left is broken out. I think the superimposed in this situation is way better. I'll zoom out just a little bit so you can compare them a little better. But I think you can see that this view here on the right is better. It's just, there's just too much material missing from this one on the left. Okay, so that is my recommendation for this drawing. And that pretty much brings us to a close here.